While the West crumbles, at least Singapore shows some spine. Scientists must not cower to the latest political ideologies. Physicists challenges diversity, inclusion, and equity dogmas. Of course, it's not a Westerner, because Westerners lost their balls a long time ago. No, this guy's in Singapore. Why does it take a Singaporean to remind a bunch of Americans what your fundamental values ought to be? That is a damn good question, isn't it? Why is it that the land of the free and the home of the brave has to be reminded of this by a foreigner? When not spending his time studying gravitational field theory and particle cosmology, Yizhen Chu may be found discussing diversity, inclusion, and equity in the sciences, and why such topics should have no place in STEM. Chu, an associate professor at National Central University in Taiwan, attended college in the United States, earning his PhD at Case Western Reserve University in current year -12. He told the College Fix in a recent interview that what he sees going on in the American sciences today is what he calls the die ideology is destroying scientific and academic standards. He is not willing to let it happen without a fight. And if you stand against him, by the way, you hate Asians. I just want to remind you. Yeah, Chu maintains a blog that not only delves into gravitational radiation and odd-dimensional flat spacetimes, but also topics such as, are some physicists more equal than others, and ideological corruption. All right, while his target is largely equity activities unfolding at his alma mater, Case Western, his critiques also target the overall field, including taking on the Particles for Justice and #shutdown STEM movements. Chu is an outspoken critic of the embedding of social justice into the sciences, and to the extent that some of his peers at Case Western have denounced him. He says his critique of die have not made as much of a dent as he'd like, but he is glad he took the stand publicly. Yeah, dude, now you could probably get a much better job in Asia, too. At least I achieved one goal, speaking up publicly with the hope that others in STEM would at some point follow suit, he told the College Fix. Nah, I think speaking out publicly is probably the best way to lose your faith in your peers, because they will throw you under the bus to save their own asses. And then as soon as the pendulum swings back the other way, they're going to show up with their hands out. Oh, please, can you help me out? Oh, I didn't mean any of that. I had to say that to keep my job. You notice how funny that is? Like 99% of everyone never actually believed it anyway. They were just going along with the 1%. God, if even 2% of you spoke up, you could have put this down, huh? But you chose not to? Nah, if you just sit back and let it happen, you're just as guilty. All right, struggles in physics. Originally from Singapore, Chu lived, studies, and conducted research on physics based in the United States from the fall of 1999 to the summer of current year -5. On his personal struggles in physics blog, Chu argues that when acting on behalf of science, we scientists have a responsibility to stick as much as possible to reality, evidence, reason, logic, etc. However strongly we personally feel about political or moral issues. You know, that's the old way of doing science. Now we're in the age of science. In current year, biology is a social construct. I'm growing extremely concerned that academia is discarding values that are most conducive to a flourishing of science, meritocracy, intellectual, academic, and scientific integrity, freedom of inquiry, freedom of expression, freedom of conscience, in favor of social justice with capital letters. In the West, that's true. But the East is going the other direction. So things are going to get interesting. He wrote that he vehemently opposes diversity, inclusion, and equity in the sciences because it's based on neither on scientific evidence nor reason, but on far-left ideology of equal representation or equal outcomes as opposed to equal opportunities. And that's the key difference. We want equal opportunity, but those morons believe that everybody is equal. Therefore, if you truly had equal opportunity, then you would have equal outcomes, right? So if you don't have equal outcomes, that means you don't really have equal opportunity. Now, he argues that recruiting based on gender and skin color for the sake of equal representation will ultimately eat away at our scientific, academic, and professional standards. So distance yourself as soon as possible. Like, again, I don't personally fault people who don't speak up and risk getting torn down by the woke mob, but you have to plan for what you know is coming. If you have a woke infestation in your workplace, for example, and you don't have the balls to stand up to it, or maybe if you speak up, you're just going to be insta-fired. So, okay, fine. Fine, then adapt. Start planning your exit. Like, that's where all these Western comic pros fucked up. Like, they claim that, they were always against this stuff, but they had to go along with it to keep their jobs. None of them thought to find other work in the past decade. That's just weird. If your place is circling the drain, you better be preparing your exit. So if you're a scientist and you see the West circling the drain and then you get an offer from China, take it. Within the past 10 years, Chu said things have changed drastically at his alma mater and more broadly within his field. When I was a grad student, I heard one colloquium given on the underrepresentation of women's, but there was no official endorsement or implementation of DIE policies. During recent years, though, Chu said he's increasingly lectured by peers about feminazi causes and the need to decolonize science. In the fall of current year -2, when he visited Case Western's website, it hit home harder for him as the homepage for the physics department was splashed with diversity mantras. I was concerned about the erosion of meritocracy and the scientific standards, he said, adding that in December of current year -2 and April of current year -1, he wrote about the matter on his personal blog. However, Chu's public statements got him publicly condemned by the faculty leaders of Case Western's Department of Physics in April of current year -1. I mean, it's fine. It's okay to distance yourselves from them. Like, dude, I have nothing to do with the college I graduated from anymore. It's fine. You've gone your separate ways. They circled the drain. You accomplished great things. That's all there is to it. Your mentors and advisors are horrified, troubled, and concerned by your posts, many of which have only recently come to our attention, twatted Glenn Starkman, director of the Center of Indoctrination and Research in Cosmology and Astrophysics at Case Western. She was also blocked by several Case Western Twitter pages. Wow, I'm sure he's devastated. Now, afterwards, Chu said he reached out via email to 3 faculty members with whom he had co-authored journal articles. The conversation did not go well at all, Chu told the College Fix, adding, "To be fair, I was rather direct from the outset." One faculty member told him his Twitter comments and questions constituted a personal attack on students regardless of his intentions. Yep, that's using the students as shields. Again, that's typical academia. Another, according to Chu, said Chu's criticisms were offensive and delegitimized students. No. Your guys' affirmative action is offensive and delegitimizes students. No, you get that right. You're the ones that are doing this. You're the ones that keep lowering the standards. You're the ones that are delegitimizing them. You're the ones that are shitting on all the hard work of their predecessors. The people pointing that out are not the bad guys. Since then, Chu said he tried to reach out to other CWRU physics faculty members and its provost. The provost never got back to him. 2 additional faculty members did, with no meaningful discussions or changes. One told him to fuck off, and the other said his emails were a poor tactic that made the problem worse and have caused mass anger. Dude, just separate from them. Like, why do you even still need to interact with that college? Your relationship with them should have ended the moment you got your degree. And why does it take a Singaporean to remind a bunch of Americans what your foundational values ought to be? I know, it's sad, isn't it? To acknowledge this, faculty members' points might well be factually correct. Faculty could well be mad at me, but he said he wonders if mass anger is how professors at American universities should react. No, that's how they shouldn't, but that's how they all do react these days. Feels over reals. If their feelings are hurt, that's just what happens. And what does it say about the current socio-political climate of U.S. academia? He said, have American academics taken the spirit of the First Amendment for granted and replaced with self-righteous social justice far-left illiberalism? Yes. Yes, that's exactly right. You got it. Hit the nail on the head. So build alternatives. It's ironic indeed to be explaining American values back to Americans, he added. In fact, in the email I wrote to CWRU physics faculty, I asked rather bluntly, why does it take a Singaporean me to remind a bunch of Americans what your foundational values ought to be? Perhaps a native Singaporean originally from a society without such foundational First Amendment values, choose in a better position to not take them for granted. Yeah, kind of like how people who were forced to live under communism and escaped it really don't like the way things are headed. And while Singapore has opened up a tad more over the past decade, it still does not enjoy the same sort of freedoms that Americans enjoy as enshrined in the U.S. Constitution, which is more of a guideline these days. Don't just remember that. So, reflecting on his exchanges with members of his alma mater over the past year or so, Chu noted, I'm not sure how to classify the fallout from my interactions with my supposed mentors and advisors. I've always believed professional honesty, scientific integrity, and academic honor are all fundamental values to practice or to a practicing scientist. Unfortunately, at least in my view, my supposed mentors and advisors have broken them rather badly by blatantly misrepresenting both my intent and the actual public statements. Yeah, so seriously, man, you're better than them. Just cut them off. The College Fix reached out to the co-chairs of the CWU Department of Physics, Corbin Kavalt and Glenn Starkman. Kavalt did not respond. Starkman declined to comment. Figures. And now they're going to be bitching. Oh, it's because of you. Now people are contacting us for comment. No, it's because of you morons. I really look forward to seeing how things are going to change in the next decade or two. As the West completely, I mean, guys, we're getting a preview of what's coming in the entertainment industry. How Western comics are effectively dead and on life support while manga is eating their lunch. That's what's going to happen in science. Like, Western scientists are going to be viewed as a joke to the rest of the world. It's like, oh, how cute. The American thinks it has a valid opinion on this topic. Oh, that's nice, dear. Now go play in the corner while the adults do the sciencing. Like, I'm not even joking. That's how Americans are going to be getting treated in the future. And Europe, most Europeans, Australians, it's coming.